Definitely. Well, and since the dawn of time, this is a woman's most vulnerable time when she's pregnant or just given birth, or, in those early years where a child is very much attached to their mother. And your identity is shifting, so your body changes, everything shifts, right? So it is overwhelming. And you know what? I'm so glad that we connected on this, because I truly believe that the whole finance industry just lets women down in this area. And it's so important, because this whole aspect of motherhood we need it for society, right? And we need to be able to support our women. So my goal is to empower women, and I coach them on how to shift their mindset and their perspective so that they don't allow themselves to necessarily be in that vulnerable place. So they remember who they are and that they deserve to have what they want and to feel financially secure, and, help them with the systems to put that in place to make sure that they're always taking part in their own financial decision making and always have choices. So
I love that. Will you as a bit of an introduction to everyone, will you just give everyone a bit of an overview about yourself?
Sure.
You as a business owner, what you do in your business, you as a mother, and then kind of the path that led you to where you are, trying to happen in the way you are now.
Sure. Okay. So my background is in finance. I'm a chartered accountant and former financial advisor and tax agent to the super rich. I've got 20 years experience in that field, and I was one of those vulnerable women when I took time out of the workforce to have my children, who are now well and truly grown up. But it was a time when I realized that I didn't have any idea how much money my husband was earning. I had no idea of our family's financial goals. He was a financial person as well. We met at work, so I assumed everything would be okay. And I just blindly trusted, because you're in love and you really enjoyed my children. I had everything I could ever want. And then all of a sudden, like these messages that you were just describing that you've seen in Facebook groups, I was just shocked, because I learned that my husband had this whole other aspect to his life that I didn't know about, and my whole world just came crashing down. And I had to leave, for my own self-worth and my dignity, and I didn't want my children to think that it was okay to tolerate that kind of behavior. So I thought, right, I need to get out of here. And I very quickly realized I had no idea where our money was. I had no access to cash. I had a business while I was at home with the children doing tax returns and whatnot, but that went through our family trust. So I wasn't even a director of that. There's no way I would let my clients do that. But it's different when you're your own, right? Because all these emotional kind of stories and patterns come into play, and it's not about what you know, especially when it comes to money. It's about what you believe is possible for you and what your patterning is. And my pattern was that my mother has always blindly trusted my father, and he is a very honourable man, and I just assumed the same thing. But and there's nothing wrong with trust. We all need to trust somewhat. But my message to any woman is you need to take part in financial decision making. You don't necessarily have to be the breadwinner, because raising children is just as important, but it doesn't mean you can't take part in financial decisions. Just like you can't leave all the love up to one person in a relationship. It can't be that one-sided, that only one person ever organises date night or says I love you. Both people need to take part, and it's the same with financial decisions. So I really want to get that message across that it's okay to ask questions. If you're not sure of what's going on, speak up. And if you want some more financial education, go get it. There's so much out there. If you feel like you have some negative money stories or patterns, or you've had a bad history with money, you can sort it out, because beliefs and patterns are learned and they can be unlearned. You don't come out of the womb being bad at money. You just, you learn it, right? You learn it through your family. So I'm a financial coach for women, but I have a big focus on the love and the luck component of wealth creation. So it's not just about finance, because that didn't help me. I had all the qualifications in the world and it still got me. So the love and the luck components, I believe, are 80% of the way we do money. And if you don't have the self-worth and the self-respect and if you don't believe it's possible for you to be great at money, you won't be.
So I think what's interesting is, so you are a wealth expert, but yes, you're also big into the energy and the mindset.
Yes.
So can you explain that a bit to us? Because
sure.
It's a bit of a new world to me. Like, I understand the mindset and the energy stuff, but I'm from the old school financial services industry, where it's just like your middle-aged white men who are never going to be talking about the possibility of bringing the mind,
who would never allow themselves.
I love it.
Vulnerable. Yeah.
No. I think it makes sense to combine the things. I would love to hear about that.
Well, I mean, there's everything is energy, right? This is not woo-woo, it's science. Everything is energy. You look at this table I have in front of me under a strong enough microscope, it's moving. Everything's moving in there. It's all molecules, atoms, everything. We all interact with each other's molecules and atoms, and everything has, it's all electrical. Like, you look at the human body, we have the ECGs and the EEGs to, measure your heart and your brain electricity, because we are energy. And so when I needed to get out of my deep financial and emotional depression when I left my marriage, I was in a very dark place, and the finance stuff just didn't help, because clearly that's not all you need to know. I needed to lift my vibration, and that brought me to the concept of energy. And I literally was in a bookshop one day, and I got to that point where I was asking for, like, is this all there is? I need some help here. And literally this sunlight came in, just like a movie. Sunlight came in, and it was like this prism of light was on this book about Feng Shui. And I don't even remember which particular book it was, because that just was the start of my Feng Shui journey. And I ended up reading everything I could get my hands on very quickly and became certified in it. I applied these Feng Shui principles, which is the energy of how our surroundings are affecting our mindset, and they're mirroring back to us what's going on inside of our thought processes, and how if you can decide what you want, and you can align your surroundings with what you want, and it will, by osmosis, reflect back into your own thought processes and help lift that vibration, right? This is all quantum mechanics. It's your thoughts are creating your beliefs, because a belief is just a thought you just keep thinking over and over again, and your beliefs determine whether you're going to take action, like whether you're going to pick up that finance book to learn more about how to invest or how to set up your systems. And if you don't believe it's possible for you, you're not going to even pick up the book. So to me, your thoughts create your reality, because if you're not believing in yourself and your future and your potential, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you're not going to get where you want. You have to know what you want. So I integrated all this Feng Shui concepts. I started on my children, and overnight I saw these massive changes in them. They weren't having nightmares, and they were like, my son set a goal to be captain of the rugby team. He'd never played rugby before. He was only like, 9 or something, but A lot of the boys had been playing rugby for years, and he's like, all of a sudden, I want to play rugby and I want to be the captain. And I was like, okay, let's write it down. Let's set an intention. Let's set up your room in this there's all different areas in your room you can dedicate to different types of energy and give it direction. And sure enough, by the end of the year, he was named at the school awards night. He was named captain of the rugby team for next year. And I was like, wow, even I was surprised, stuff like that. And then I was using it on myself, and I got back into the workforce. I manifested my dream job, working for some of the wealthiest families in the country, managing their money. I manifested, like, literally as I'm doing a space clearing, someone knocked at the door and said, can we take photos of your house or film an ad here and we'll pay you $3,000. Like, the old me would have just not even answered the door, because I would have been going, who the hell are you? Go away. But because I'd set my intention and I'd opened my mind, I was allowing in the opportunities that are always available to everybody, but most of us close ourselves off from it and we don't even notice it around us. So, lots of little things like this. And then there's the mindset component, the, mantras and mirror work and lifting your self-esteem and journaling and all of the things, right? So I thought I'll integrate all of this. I became certified in money mindset as well, the psychology of money and our patterning and why we do make decisions the way we do and how you can change those patterns to make those decisions better. And I thought, why not integrate all of it? So that's how I came up with the Love, Luck, Wealth, which is a bit of everything. Because women do money differently to men. Like, we don't have like that steady income stream our whole lives. We have very interrupted income streams. Our whole lives and identities change when we become a mother. We go through that form of adolescence, which is called matrescence, and that we literally physically and mentally change, and you cannot go back to the old version of you. That doesn't happen to men. And the whole finance industry is just marketing to what to do with your superannuation fund. But most women, especially mothers, they don't necessarily have a big superannuation fund. They need to catch up. There are lots of different priorities, and it's not necessarily easy for them to catch up through the traditional methods of just, investing a portion of your salary. You need to think differently. You need to think bigger. You need to stop trading time for money. You need to expand your horizons and think about ways to add value that don't need your time. Stuff like that. So I really wanted to educate women to just step into this whole other perspective when it comes to money and get really excited about managing their finances and finding ways to bring in more money, rather than just focusing on how can I spend less. Like, I did a Google search to prepare for our conversation. Did a Google search on, tips for single mothers, for example, because a lot of these women were talking about all of a sudden finding themselves with a young child and single, and they don't know what to do. Every single article was talking about cutbacks, how you can be tighter with your spending and not spend as much. And that is horrible, because that is not going to solve the situation. That is simply putting a Band-Aid on it. It's not going to help your self-esteem. It's not going to clear the worry. It's not going to make you feel calmer. It's just going to make you feel more of that lack mindset, which the science says.
And it's more about the mindset. It's like the mindset of, I know I've listened to a few things recently that really put it into perspective, but like the mindset of like cutting out your morning coffee or cutting out, small things to then save more at the end of the month is just the wrong mindset to be in, when you should be not in like they cut it out. You should be in the you need to be opening yourself to make more money, not trying to cut down on spending less. It's a whole mindset thing. It's really interesting when you say the finance industry being directed towards men and their traditional ways of work and income earning, you know, they get to this 30 to 50-year-old age stage where they're at their most money making period of life, right? Their incomes are going up pretty substantially each year usually, and they're making money growing their superannuation, investing, whatever they're doing. Whereas we are at this point where, and a lot of these groups that I'm on, very similar things. We need more money. I can't get a 9 to 5 because I'm responsible for the children. I need to work from home. I need to work around my children. What's out there for me? And because all of the media is really pushed around these male hours of work and jobs, and people don't even think it's an option to not work, find roles in that, in that sort of way, and they don't know where to look for them. So it's really interesting hearing that that's how you help women look for solutions that are out of the box, because that is very much the box that we're all like, how do we fit into this box, because this box does not fit in my life right now.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear how you help through that.
Well, this is the thing, right? I specifically don't teach budgeting because that's the last thing you should be doing. I mean, yes, you're not going to be irresponsible. You got to just think before you buy things, but it's about spending on things that add value, rather than just to feel better. And it's just becoming aware of how your feelings are dictating your actions, right? Because your feelings are like, they're the early thoughts, right? The feelings create the thoughts, and the thoughts create the beliefs, and the beliefs create the actions. So if you can start, first of all, setting goals. I mean, most women, anytime I'll do a public speaking event, I'll ask people to hold up their hands who has a financial plan or a financial goal. There might be like 10% of the room at the most, probably more like 2 or 3%, have identified a written financial goal and plan. And if you don't know where you're going, how the hell are you going to get there? It's like you need to be able to set your GPS. So first of all, you need to be able to think about, what do you want, right? If your success was inevitable and you knew you couldn't fail, what does that look like for you? Now, a lot of women go, oh, well, that's ridiculous. Like, it's never going to happen. So why am I going to let myself go down that path and get all excited when I know it's not going to work? But this is my point. If you don't even allow yourself to imagine and think about what's possible, how the hell are you going to do anything different? Because these thoughts that you continually think over and over again are creating your beliefs, and therefore deciding on what your next action is going to be, and therefore what your future financial reality is going to be. All we have to work with is the present, right now. So what are your thoughts and feelings about money right now? And for most women in this situation we've been talking about, where they're vulnerable and they're like all of a sudden on their own, the first thing that they're thinking about when they wake up in the morning, the last thing before they go to bed, is worry about financial worry. And it just is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it goes round and round and round. So you need to find a way to at least allow yourself to go there and use your imagination to think about what's possible for you and what you would want. You need to ignite your heart. You need to be able to write it down, and you need to be able to say it out loud, not necessarily to the whole world, but you need to be able to say it aloud, even just to yourself in front of the mirror. And what does that bring up for you? If there's a lot of fear that comes up straight away, you need to address that fear. Where is this fear coming from? Does it even belong to me? Is this what happened to my mother or the women before her? Is it even my own fear? Is it really true? Right? So because most of the time our fears are not even true. Then the worst thing that we can imagine actually never even happens. So lifting your vibration and your mindset right now, your thought quality in this instant, is the best thing you can do to start thinking better about money. And then write down where you want to be, right? So, and then the next step is to use your imagination and think about how you would feel and act and hold yourself and be when that all comes together, and be that version of you now. Make decisions like she would make now. not once you have the money, make it now. And it's not about then going out and blowing whatever money you have. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when next time you're going out and you're being this wealthy version of yourself who's had all her goals come together, how would she make decisions on what to purchase next, right? So how would she, is she decisive, or does she like go ruminate and go round and round in circles, and is she overanalyzing everything and wasting energy on that? There's lots of different ways you can look at it. I have a free quiz on my website as well, which is the Money Personality Quiz, and that helps you to understand what your unique blueprint is when it comes to money, and why, because everyone assumes everyone thinks the same way as they do when it comes to money, but you don't. Like, someone might be really sort of frugal and focused on saving. That's the accumulator type. Someone might be at the other end of the scale, which is a romantic and who loves to spend for experiences and to feel better. And there's nothing wrong necessarily with either kind of type, but it's just that you don't want to be the extreme version of that. You need to be aware of what your triggers are and what your challenges are, and identify when you're at the end of the scale so you can manually bring yourself back and teach yourself how to not sabotage your own financial well-being. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does. It's really interesting to think that the energy that you put into spiraling and the negative thoughts or the deliberations about the next step or all of that stuff can really take away from any positive energy, right? Like positive thoughts and positive steps forward. Yeah, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, because your
thing
brain
to teach well, because
definitely
it's hard to pull yourself out of it.
Yeah, it is hard, but the truth is your brain doesn't know the difference between real and imaginary. We are the only species on the planet who has this. This is what differentiates us from animals, is we can imagine something. Like if I get you to imagine you've got in front of you a lemon and that you're about to bite into the lemon, you start salivating just thinking about it, right? Because you're getting a physical reaction from your imagination. If I ask you to imagine like some hot guy in front of you and he's like, he wants you, and you're like, you get a physical reaction. You're like, oh my God, this feels really good. I'm blushing right now. Like your imagination is so powerful, and we are not taught to use it, especially on the finance component. And women especially, we are the creators of life. We have very strong intuitions and we are very creative beings. And I really do believe that this is a whole untapped potential. We can use this to help us, because why not come at money from all angles? Yes, have your systems in place. Yes, have your goals written down and review them regularly. You're 42% more likely to reach your goals just by writing them down and reviewing them regularly. Yes, set up your home and your surroundings for feng shui flow, so that you don't have clutter everywhere, and you don't have things that are broken everywhere, because this is all a metaphor for what's going on in your life. So you can influence things this way. There's lots of little things you can do.
And that's a very interesting one, because when we've got the young children at home, the house is a shit fight, right? There's like toys in every room, there's washing to be folded in corners and buckets of dirty, I try and keep a pretty tidy house, and even just looking around the room I'm in, I'm like, whoa, this is a little bit overwhelming. So I think that's an important one. That's probably not an easy fix, but probably an opportunity for most of us going in this period it's hard to stay on top of it.
Yeah. It's accepting that this is a time of life as well. Just like a teenager's room is always going to be messy because that's what's going on in their head. It's a reflection. They're going through adolescence. They're transitioning. So their space is messy, just like their heads and their thoughts are messy. That's fairly normal. So when you have young children and you're going through this matrescence yourself, yes, it's going to be messy. But if it's coming to your income producing activities, what you can do is make sure those areas have been decluttered and they are promoting that feeling of financial well-being, of being organised and decisive and having a plan and assuming the best. So maybe it just means if you happen to have a home office, keeping that area clutter-free. Maybe it's just your emails, keeping them clutter-free, keeping, your unread emails down to like a minimum of 10 as opposed to 10,000. That makes a big difference on the psychology of your brain is overworking. Every unread email that it sees on that screen and every piece of paper lying around the house represents a delayed decision, and it's taking up space in your brain. And when you're in stress, all of this adds to stress. When you're in stress, your IQ almost halves, and you cannot make a good financial decision when you're in stress. So your number one job is to de-stress. Maybe if you have time, meditate, even if it's just in the shower. I meditate in the shower every day, and purposefully set your intention before you just about to drop off to sleep, that to remind yourself that everything is okay, that you're safe, that you have a roof over your head, you have your arms and legs, everything's okay, really, in the scheme of things. You're going to wake up tomorrow. And it's just calming your nervous system so that while you do sleep and your consciousness goes to sleep, then you can recalibrate and you can revitalize all that energy. And you gradually, every day, if you just have little systems and rituals, you get better and better and better. And it might not happen overnight, but it will happen. So keep at it.
With the women that you look after, so you coach women one-to-one, and then you have, do you have group coaching on there as well?
Yeah, I have groups as well. And I have on-demand products too, where people can, they're self-paced kind of courses. But it's all around this love, the luck and the wealth, right? So that not just the financial systems, because it's not just about how you do money. Actually, money is actually very easy. And you pick up any book on finance and personal finances especially, they all say the same thing, just in a different language, right? In a different tone. It's always the same. You just spend less than you earn and you put your money to work, and you have a plan. It's not rocket science. The hard part is the emotional resistance and the sabotage that we do subconsciously without even knowing it because of these patterns that we've inherited. And to me, that's 80% of your financial transformation is going to come from being able to understand that you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are not actually even real. The only thing that is real is your ability to think a thought. That's real. But thoughts themselves are very transient and they're not necessarily true, right? If you try and think about the thoughts you had 2 years ago, today, at this particular hour, 2 years ago, you can't remember because it doesn't matter because it's transient. You've moved on. Do you see what I mean? So thoughts are not real. Thoughts are they're just things that we're feeling along the way. What's real is your ability to think a thought. And what's real is your ability to choose better thoughts. That's real. And you have that ability. So it's about being aware of the fact that you have choices. You always have choices. And whenever you feel like you're stuck and you don't have choices and you're in a hole or a corner, remind yourself, yes, you do. You can choose to think a different thought. You can choose to just maybe even go general and just choose one thing in your line of sight right now that is pretty, you know? Like I might just pick up my like water jug and go, oh, the light's just so pretty there. But it's distracting your brain from this spiral of, I know I'm going to do about money. I'm hopeless about money. It's never going to work out and everything's a mess. Like, that's not going to help you. Worrying is not going to change the outcome. If anything, it just makes it worse. So I'm really passionate about helping women and giving them the tools and the rituals to help them to shift and choose better thoughts. And then once they're in that better place, they can think better and they can set up those financial systems and have the ideas to bring in more money, to add value, to do things differently. And they can attract the situations, the people, the synchronicities, and the thoughts that are going to deliver this.
And it's interesting because I had a conversation with a friend who I don't think will listen to this, but the other week, and he is looking for a job, and he said, I'm kind of just waiting for someone to call me with a job. And I said, have you told anyone you're looking? He said, no, I haven't put any.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of like, you need to put your feelers out, open your mind to it, but also you need to put it out there that you're looking, right?
Yeah.
So my question was going to be, you've worked with a lot of women, how, apart from kind of changing their mindset and being open to it and having a couple of ideas as to how they might be able to bring in some money in a non-traditional way, have you seen any good, like, do you have a book in your course that's like 100 non-traditional ideas for mums to make money that aren't MLM scams? Like, do you have?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because that's the women that put online, they just get flogged by these schemers, digital traders. I don't even know what any of the things are, but they kind of get overrun, and then you see those sorts of companies or businesses preying on these vulnerable women, just looking to make like an extra little side hustle somehow. Is it a matter of just being open, or have some resources available to help get the...
Yeah, and anything to do with this metaphysical manifestation, quantum physics side of making money. There's two different things that are required. One, you need to know what you want, and you need to be able to articulate that, and you need to be very familiar with how it feels when it's come, what it is, what kind of person you need to be to have that, and feel into it, right? Because we're electrical beings, right? And where your feelings and thoughts act like a magnet, and they'll attract back to you confirmation of that. So if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts and you're constantly thinking about lack, reality is going to mirror back to you more and more lack. Even if you're saying, I don't want lack, I don't want lack. It's whatever you're focusing on, you get more of, as opposed to what you're asking for. Whatever you're being, you get more of. The wanting is something that you don't want to be wanting, you want to have it. So that's the first thing. Know what it feels like to have it and really, truly be able to go there emotionally. And then the second step is to let it in, right? So have a container to receive it. Is that going to be a business? Is it going to be a portfolio? You might need a brokerage account, all of those things to start, your share journey. Is it about putting a resume together and sending it out there, or getting an agent and sending that out there to find the right job? Is it about if you've got your own business, do you have a way for people to pay you? Like, you'd be surprised how many people have businesses, especially service-based businesses, and no one can book with them online. They'd have to call them first or fill out a form. No one wants to do that. Make it easy. Like, make it easy for the universe to deliver this stuff to you. So find out where you are subconsciously blocking and resisting receiving that. I always like to go back to love and relationships. If you want a new relationship with somebody, first of all, you have to know what you want, right? You've probably got a list of the things you want in your partner, the kind of qualities that you want. But the next step is, how are you going to allow it in? Now, what does he or she want? Right? So you got to look at it from the other way, right? If you want someone fit and fabulous, guess what? They're probably going to want someone fit and fabulous too. So you got to get your container ready, and you got to get your ass to the gym, right? So it's the same with money. If you want to be earning $1 million a year in your business, you need to be the kind of person who has $1 million a year business and make decisions like that person. Hold yourself like that person. Connect with the kind of people that he or she would connect with. And then you need to, have that vehicle set up, ready to go, with a concept and a way to add value, and then a way for people to pay you. It's part of this receiving. So you know what you want, and you have a way to receive it. These are the two biggest things. And then the wealth component is, once the money starts flowing, what to do with it, and having a system so that you're not going to subconsciously sabotage yourself, because we tend to spend everything we earn. It's just the way we're wired, you want to just eat everything on your plate. So, get your systems in place and get a portion of your income as it comes in every time, out of sight, out of mind. Just put it away somewhere else and put it to work. And your money wants your attention. That's why my signature course is called Money is My Lover, and it's about treating money as if it was your loyal lover, and it was always there for you, and you'd plan together and you'd spend time together. You wouldn't just take advantage of it, and you wouldn't just only speak to it at Christmas. You would you would want to talk to it all the time, and you would connect with it, and you would see what it needs, those kind of things.
I love that. I feel like I could talk for hours. Is there anything else? Is there anything else that you think would be important to share with the listeners on this topic, or anything that comes up regularly that you might want to share?
Yeah. Well, if you want to start just activating this desire for a different financial outcome, I have plenty of free stuff on my website. I have 20 Days of Wealth. It's like an email series you can sign up for. It's totally free. And every morning you'll get an email reminding you of how abundant you already are, and just reminding you of the ways for you to allow that money in. There's my money personality quiz to learn about your money personality and why it's different to maybe your partner's, and why maybe you clash on money, and how to speak their language. That always helps. And then, of course, if you really want to make change and you're ready and you've had enough of doing things the way you've always done it, you're going to need to do something different. So take a course with me, or book a session, and let's clear these money blocks and get your systems in place so that you can bring in more money, more wealth, and financial relaxation.
Mm-hmm. I'll link the website in the notes so that everyone can find you, and your Instagram as well.
Thank you.
But it's been so lovely to chat to you today, and I really appreciate your time coming on, talking to us all about this, because it is really important to me, and I know it's really important to you as well.
Definitely.
So hopefully we've added some value.
Yeah, I really hope so. I really hope we've woken some women up to their fabulousness and possibilities when it comes to money.
Yay. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.